Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I am pleased to be joined by Nick Nethery, an author here at LibertyCon. Nick, thanks so much for being here.
Sure, glad to be here.
So, I know you're a writer, and you've worked a lot for Raconteur Press. How did you get involved with Raconteur Press?
I retired from the Army last year, almost a year ago now, come to think of it, and I was looking at doing an internship for my last few months in the Army. The DoD has this great program where they let you, the last 6 months or so, do an internship with the industry that you're trying to get into. So I knew I wanted to write and to get into this business, and so I reached out to Raconteur and I said, you guys don't know me from Adam, but I'd like to come on board. I'd like to be a writer, but I'll do whatever you guys need. I mean, social media, editing, I don't know anything about, webmaster stuff, but anything that I can learn quickly or that I already know, I'll try anything. So I'll come on board and just kind of be a gopher, if you'll also look at some stuff that I've written and possibly consider it. And so that's what started my internship. They were gracious enough to say yes, and we arranged it between them and the DoD. And so the last 4 months I was in the Army, I was actually interning at Raconteur Press, which was great.
Yeah.
Got to write some, but I also learned a ton about editing, about book layout, maintaining relationships with new writers and extant writers and outreach and a little social media stuff. So it was a good intro to get my feet wet in the business. And it was a lot of fun. And it's a great culture. They're a great crew, and I fit in. Just coincidentally, my personality meshed with theirs really well. It was a great time.
They're a great group of people.
They really are.
So we'll talk about some of your short stories and your collections in a moment. But I want to start with, when it comes to writing, what are some books or genres that were really influences on you, whether you were growing up or as an adult or maybe when you were in the military? What are those writing influences that have influenced your writing now?
When my father was stationed, during the Bosnia stuff, when that was going down in the 90s, my father got a couple of weeks R&R, and we met him in Germany. We were in the States, and so we met in Germany for a couple of weeks and just did vacation stuff. But there was a morale, welfare, and recreation building, almost like a USO, you would call it, building with a free library. And I was 15, 14 years old, and I was bored and wandering around the base, and so I found this library, and one of the first things I stumbled on was David Weber's Path of the Fury. Oh, yeah. And I'd read a few science fiction things before then, but it was more like hard Asimov and that kind of stuff, and I liked it, but I figured I liked a little lighter brand of sci-fi. So I got into him through Path of the Fury, still one of my favorite books. And then I found some of the novelizations for Shadowrun, the role-playing game. Robert Charette wrote a few of those early ones. And between those two, I just kind of fell into a love of science fiction. And from there, fantasy and a lot of other genres. I love genre fiction. I have tried my hand at a few different ones. I think science fiction and fantasy are what I enjoy writing because it's what I enjoy reading, but I've tried writing westerns and I've tried detective. I haven't tried romance yet. I'm not sure I'd be great at it, but I want to try everything, even if I don't think I'll like it or be good at it. You understand?
Oh, I get that.
And so I liked those authors and what they were able to do in the Shadowrun case with an IP that already existed, but so much of him shone through. And then with Weber, you don't even need to say anything. Everything he writes is just so damn good. And so from that I got into Harrington, and I wanted someday to tell stories that made people that I love feel as excited and fun as those books made me feel. So that's why I wanted to get into writing.
So you've written and edited for several anthologies for Raconteur. One of them is their Space Marines anthology. I believe you edited the third one for them. What is the pitch for that series and for that specific anthology, and what were some standout stories from it?
I think it's just the whole Space Marine genre, if you will, it grows out of a love of old classics like, Heinlein, obviously. I also grew up just adoring Armor by John Stakely.
Yeah.
Which actually, that book affected my leadership style in the military, I think, probably more than professional reading.
Right.
And so I that's where that comes from, that love of guys they might be in power armor, they might have laser rifles, or they just might be in not very much advanced from what we have today, on a space station, on a spaceship, on another planet, just doing hard infantry work that needs to be done in the same style of World War II or Vietnam stories or Civil War stories that we have, but told through the lens of possibly far future, but at least future time frame and foundation. I just love everything about it. I like the idea of setting something far enough in the future that it doesn't have to. I've got 2 history degrees. I'm not a scientist, I was in a technical field in the Army, but I knew enough not to kill myself. You know?
Yeah.
So I like the idea of setting something far enough in advance that I can hand wave a little bit, but it's not too ridiculous. So that's where that Space Marines grew out of. And we had already done, like I said, 2 anthologies, and then just some personnel issues not too long after I came on board as an intern. They hadn't planned, I believe, for me to edit anything as an intern, but it was kind of an emergency, and they needed someone to do it, and I said, okay, I'll do it. And it was a ton of fun, a lot of work, and in some ways that I wasn't expecting, but I just had a blast.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
So you also edited for the Wyrd West Cursed Canyon collection. What can you tell us about that anthology?
Wyrd West is there's actually 3 of them, and Cursed Canyon, I believe, is the second one. But all of them are. I also grew up watching westerns with my uncle and my dad and my grandpa, and just adore them. It breaks my heart a little bit that just as a country, we've gotten a little bit away from westerns.
Yeah.
There are some really good standouts in the recent. Like 310 to Yuma is not too far. The True Grit remake is not too far in the past, and those are fantastic.
Yeah,
but they're not growing on trees like they used to.
They're not that often.
And in fairness, I think not all of those were great back in the day, but I wish we did more. So the opportunity to marry up 2 of my loves, westerns, with magic and fantasy and the supernatural, and some of them are even more sci-fi. That just really appealed to me, and so we got just a ton of submissions for all of those. It was a tall hill to climb, but and I found way more stories than we were able to accept that were fantastic. And so you can't accept everything, but just the quality of work that was submitted to us just blew my mind, and I just had a great time doing them.
So, are there any particular stories that you can highlight for us, like a pitch? Any of those stories that you thought were particularly good in the collection?
I believe it's the first one. Sam Robb has a story called Benediction in Lead that is one of the best things I've ever read.
Yeah.
I want to steal it and put my name on it. It's so good.
Yeah.
There's just a lot in those that are really good. There's Arlen Andrews, Dr. Arlen Andrews, who was the White House science advisor at one point for, I think, Bush 1. He contributed to the last one, the second one. He had a fantastic short story called The Ballad of Long Red. It's a little more violent than some of our other ones, but I put a little disclaimer in the bit. But it was just so good, I wanted it in there. So it's a little higher than PG rated, but still it was great. And then, but there's none of them have been. They've all been just fantastic. Every one of them is fantastic. I've been very, very not surprised, but very pleased at the quality. They're all just so good.
So, do you have any projects coming out in the near future, maybe whether they be short stories or anthologies, that you can tell us about that are coming?
Sure. I mean, I'm always writing a short story. I think it's a great way to get in reps, before the big lift. But I wanted to be a novelist. I still do. That's what I gravitate towards. I love short stories. That's fun, but I want to sit down sometimes with a novel, and that's what I want to write. So my first novel is coming out next month.
Oh, really?
Yes, from Raconteur. It's called Relics of the Fallen. It's a near future science fiction, and the premise is an army soldier is getting close to retirement. He's a bomb technician, and he gets recruited into a special program that deals with ordnance and artifacts left here by ancient humans, maybe some other civilizations.
Right.
We don't know. And so him getting into the program and cutting his teeth and realizing what he's bitten off in the job is so that's what's coming out in this book. And I've got several more outlined for the series.
Is that one going to be part of? Is that going to be from Raconteur?
Yes.
And is that going to be one of their serials where they release it in 3 parts?
Yes, correct. We're doing 3 serials, and then you after that towards the end of next month you'll be able to buy the full novel with a little bit of additional content.
Well, that's great.
I'm excited.
If people want to follow you online, where should they go?
Oh, geez, let's see. nicknethery.com is my website. I've also got a Substack, which is just the same thing. It's Nick Nethery, but I think .substack.com or whatever that address is. I'm on Twitter as well as I think it's Nick Nethery Bro, and then I have my author page on Facebook. But if you're following Raconteur stuff, I'm interacting with them all the time as the writer also. A lot of people that find me through Raconteur.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for coming to do the interview with me today.
Thank you. It's been fun.
And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.